Do you want to know how we hire, fire, promote, and ensure alignment within a $100 million company? It's a simple system called the CATBUS Value System. And I'm going to show you exactly how we define our values to create a $100 million culture. Hey, I'm Arjun, CEO and founder of doola.com, a business in a box based in New York City that's raised over $13 million of venture capital. But today I'm not talking about product or growth. I'm talking about something even more foundational. Culture, specifically our values. And these aren't just platitudes that go on the wall. I'm going to actually show you how we make sure they turn into reality in the company. These are the key to how we operate. Our values are our operating system. They dictate the way we work with each other. They dictate the way we make decisions. And ultimately, they dictate if the company is going to succeed or not. Let me first take you back in time to why values matter and when I realized they do. To tell you the truth, I remember when we were starting, a lot of people would say, and these are founders that were much farther along, they would say it's important to document and dictate and define your values early on. And I used to sit there and think, what's the point? We have a company, we're trying to find product market fit. Why do the values matter? Values aren't going to help a customer come in and use our offering. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. The issue with not defining your values and being very clear about them upfront is you start to drift internally. Let me actually tell you a quote which hammered this home for me. Most startups don't die from homicide. They die from suicide. Now, to break that down, homicide is if someone were to kill you. Suicide is death from within. And it might be a bit morbid, but the truth is most companies die from internal dysfunction, not because some competitor came and killed you. So if you don't have your values defined internally, you end up hiring the wrong people. You end up not firing the right people. And you end up having disarray internally, which means if your house isn't made within, if your bed isn't made, how are you going to change the world? You have to take care of yourself, take care of the internal first to be able to go after your audacious, ambitious goals. So at the end of the day, your values aren't just what you say. They're what you tolerate and they're what you stand for internally. So we defined our values with the CATBUS Value System. They're the values that we followed to build a $100 million business, and they are the key for how we're going to continue to scale. So here are our 6 core values. C stands for communicate with candor, which in simple words means strong opinions loosely held. We're a global team communicating across time zones, and I actually think most dysfunction in a company comes from unclear communication. Actually, remove company. Anything in life, if you're clear with communication, whether it's a relationship or a relationship at work, you'll be in a much better spot if you just communicate with candor. The guiding principle here is we challenge ideas. We don't attack people, we attack ideas, no ad hominem attacks. And ultimately, we have strong opinions loosely held, meaning if the data or the customer says otherwise, we're willing to change our mind. A stands for aim for your full potential with high agency. Now, this is a key part of our value system because the average startup dies, which means everyone needs to be pushing the boulder forward. And the word high agency to me is so important because high agency means if you see a wall, you don't say, I can't climb over it. You say, how do I climb over it or dig under it or run around it? You see obstacles and your first instinct isn't, this isn't possible. It's, I'm going to get around this, or I'm going to push my way through it and run through that wall. This requires an almost uncomfortable sense of constant learning and growth, which is what we want. Because the truth is, if you're surrounded by people like that, it is so damn contagious. The guiding principle here is be extraordinary. Realize the people around you are not the ceiling, they're the floor. And if you level up, you can actually level up everyone else around you. Ultimately, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, whether that's at work or at home. T stands for take initiative with a full stack mentality. Doola's tagline is doula is for doers. We want people who are doers, who are ready to start their company and scale it. And internally, we want doers too. There is so much opportunity in a startup, so you need to take advantage. I would honestly rather have someone who doesn't ask for permission and does the thing and makes a mistake versus someone who doesn't take action. The guiding principle here is we take ownership. We have an action for bias and for getting shit done. B stands for be trustworthy and always ready to help. And truthfully, this starts with our customers who are trusting us for a very scary process, which is setting up an entity and keeping it compliant. So if we don't have trust with our customers, the entire business model falls apart. But the same thing applies internally. If we don't trust each other and can't work with each other, if we're sleeping with one eye open, you won't be able to do your best work. So it's an external philosophy, but it's also an internal philosophy. The guiding principle here is we do what we say and we own up to our mistakes, all in the effort of helping our customers. U stands for urgency and focus to execute. The way I think about this is, look, Rome wasn't built overnight, but they were laying bricks every day, if not every single hour. And the beauty of having a global team is we can do the same thing. You need 8 hours of sleep, but the beauty of having a global team is you can always pass the baton. While I'm sleeping in New York, the team in India and Europe is awake. While India is asleep, the team in the US is awake. Overnight, again, we're not working 24/7 pathologically, but we're laying bricks every single hour and delivering value to our customers. You need that urgency and focus to execute. You need clear goals, but you have to have urgency because the truth is you don't have to do anything today. You could do it next year. But why not do it today? Why not constantly push the ball forward every single day? That's the type of attitude we want. Again, the guiding principle here is Rome wasn't built overnight, but they were laying bricks every hour. How can we have that same urgency within the company? And S stands for sweat the details. Ultimately, the details matter, whether it's a pixel on a page or copy in an email. And I actually think the difference between world-class and normal is the details. Think about some of the most phenomenal products like the Apple MacBook. There's this really famous image of all the Apple devices stacked on each other, and the curvature is perfectly aligned on every single device. That is pixel perfect perfection. That is sweating the details. So at Doola, the guiding principle is we obsess over details, we double check, and we refine. Because ultimately, we can't make a mistake when it comes to setting up someone's company. We need to sweat the details to deliver the right product to our customers. That is the CATBUS value system. Again, those are our values. You can use them too. But ultimately, I would say each company is kind of like its own living, breathing organism, and you should go through this process of defining your own. Now, as a bonus, one thing which I strongly recommend you do, and I'm going to show you ours here, is also define your non-values. So you can see here, we define non-values because we think it's critical to align on what Doola isn't or what a startup isn't. The goal here isn't to be aggressive or to put someone down. It's to say, hey, this is what you should expect if you join Doola. This is what you should expect if you join a startup. Again, our goal is not to be combative. It's to be straightforward. So you can read through our non-values. They're right here. It's misalignment with the Doola mission. You prefer highly structured work versus unstructured fast work. We are a team, not a family. You identify problems, you don't solve them. You have a my way or the highway mentality, and you put your interests before the company's. I think it's worth going through the exercise of not only defining your values, but defining your non-values too. And lastly, as a bonus, I'm showing you right here how we take our values and ensure that they don't just become platitudes on the wall, but we ensure that they actually happen and are reflected in the company. So every single week, I go through our exact CATBUS values, and I show them on slides. You can see them right here. So this is the first slide I show, and then this is the second slide I show. Now, this is where I think the magic happens. Putting them on paper is one thing, but how do you ensure that they're actually happening in the company? I go back to kindergarten. Show, don't tell. So what we do is this. First, I show a couple slides which identify and explain why we need to push for extraordinary. I give a couple examples of how work doesn't have to be drudgery. And the goal is we build an extraordinary company, not an ordinary company. But to do that, we have to overcome cultural prejudices that imply that. And at the end of the day, one of the best prizes life has to offer is working hard at work worth doing. So with all that, the goal is to become extraordinary, not ordinary. And the way you do that is through values, leveling yourself up and operating around people who are thinking in a similar way. So this is where the magic happens. Each week, we do a value shout out where one person on the company is nominated to actually pick a value and then call someone out as a nomination who demonstrated that value. So let me give you the exact example from last week. Last week, Mason gave a shout out to Gunjot. And the value that he gave a shout out for was be trustworthy and always ready to help. Now, the beauty here is that this takes something that's just on the wall or on your website, and it calls out an individual at the company for actually living and breathing it. Now, the final part of this ritual is we turn it into a challenge. So next week, first of all, Gunjot gets dinner on Doola. And then the next week, Gunjot actually has to pick someone and nominate them to stretch goal outside their department. So the beautiful thing here is you can't nominate the same person. Over the course of a full year, you have 52 different people who have been nominated. You have 52 different examples of values happening in your company. And that to me is the most important thing, where you can put your values on a page, but if they're not happening in practice, what's the point? That is a wrap. That is the CATBUS value system, the value system we've used to build a $100 million company. And the only way we'll continue to scale is through these values. Lastly, values are living and breathing. We might tweak them, we might change them, we might add to them. The same way a company is a living, breathing organism, so are your values. And ultimately, you have to show them, not tell them, and practice what you preach. And last but not least, if you're looking to level up your business, start with values for sure, but my company Doola exists for this reason, so we can help you with your business back office. So you can check us out at doola.com. You can schedule a free demo. I also have a ton of free resources down below. I write a newsletter called the 2-Minute Business Hack. I have ebooks on how to scale your business from anywhere in the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value, please like, subscribe to the channel. We put out content like this on the regular, and I'll see you in the next video.